Thanks for everybody coming on in. Obviously, I know it's Labor Day evening, nighttime. So, yeah, let's kind of jump into it. How do you buy multifamily? And how would you do it, say, in the next 90 days? Call it identify property and get into one before the end of the year. And do it with as little out-of-pocket money as you can. The perception out there in the market that you can do this with no money out of pocket. You can be broke, you can have nothing and just show up and do real estate. It's not that that's inaccurate or a lie, or the people that are telling you that are lying. It's just not realistic. Okay, you need to have some skin in the game, even if it's minimal, to be able to execute. So if you are totally broke, then we can educate you on how to do it. That's fine. But if you to actually take action, there has to be some skin in the game if you're going to do it and then entice other people to come along for the ride with you. Okay, because no one's going to be investing in a deal that you have if you are not putting any money yourself, because they're going to say, just like you would probably say to me, well, why aren't you putting any money in? What's going on? Is it a good deal? Like, all these questions would go on in your brain if you didn't have any skin in the game and you were asking me to put money into your deals. Okay, same thing would happen. So we'll get into that in just a minute, but let's get going. Cool. So people always ask, why multifamily? Why multifamily versus, say, single family or Airbnbs or flipping houses or wholesaling or any of these other investment vehicles? Why multifamily over all of those? And the simple answer is this: with most of those investment vehicles, which are all fine and they do well and they're their own business models, you don't get paid multiple ways, right? Big checks, small checks, and big checks over the course of an entire investment cycle. With multifamily, there are literally 5 to 8 times that you're going to get paid, several of them monthly, several of them big pops. But over the course of say, a 3, 5, 10-year investment, holding that building, you're getting paid 5 to 8 times, right? In 5 to different ways. And that's why multifamily is so powerful, because it's not just like, okay, we're going to go flip a house and get paid once, or I'm going to go wholesale, get paid once, right? Or I'm going to go do an Airbnb. That's cool. You're going to get some monthly revenue from that. Great business model. But once again, there's like one major revenue stream. There's not 8. Okay. So the reason why multifamily is so powerful is because you have multiple ways to get revenue, and you're having to put in minimal capital to get a huge portion of that. Okay. And I'm going to show you that here tonight. Any questions before we jump on further? So yeah, I see Ellie, you're saying I've been wholesaling, need to level up. Want to be consistent in the multifamily, buy an asset for cash flow. Love it. And wholesaling's fine. It's where a lot of people start, low barriers to entry, and then you graduate into flipping, and then so on and so forth. So awesome. Appreciate you coming in. So beautiful. Great. Let's get into it. So why multifamily? You're paid 5 to 8 times. The economies of scale. I mean, I was just telling my buddy the other day who has 6 single family rentals, all in a similar neighborhood, by the way. And he was looking at buying another 12, like a 12 portfolio in Georgia, about 2 single family house. So if that tenant moves out, you go from 100% occupied to 0. You have 12 different water heaters, 12 different lawns, 12 different this, 12 different that, 12 different insurance, all these 12, like a lot of things. Why would you do that when I can go get one building with 12 units in it? And his response to me was this, and it's probably what yours is. I understand single family. I know how it works. This is scary. It seems daunting. Seems like I need a ton of capital. Seems like all these things, right? These limiting beliefs that you are just setting off in your brain, which is totally normal, by the way. But when you don't know how you can actually do this. And you could probably do it with about $20,000 out of pocket, $30,000 out of pocket, somewhere in there. Okay. So economies of scale. It's easier to finance it. It is literally easier for you to go get $1 million commercial loan on an apartment building than it is for you to go get a $200,000 house loan on a house. And I'm going to show you why that is. Okay. Generational wealth, as we all know about, right? You're building this portfolio of generational wealth. So, has anybody played the money game? I should say, what does money mean to you? Chime in the chat. What is money to you? Is it freedom? Is it time? Is it choices? What is money? When you think of money, when the word money, what's literally the first thing that pops to your mind? I'm curious. Freedom, peace, mind, options. Yep. All perfect choices. Time and freedom. Love it. So I'm going to launch another poll. I'm curious what your limiting beliefs are. What are your limiting beliefs? Is it balancing investments with personal life? Is it limited access to the financing and capital? You can pick multiple here. Is it the risk of losing money, the fear of the market volatility, fear of making bad investment decisions? What are your limiting beliefs? Finding the deal would be my top one. Wasn't on the list. That's coming up. Dean, that's coming up. But yes, finding deals is very important. That's step number one, hands down. Hands down. Because if you don't have a good deal, it's very hard to raise any money. It's very hard to even worry about financing. It's very hard to do anything beyond. If you can't find deals, what are you doing, right? So deals is number one, hands down. Paralysis by analysis. Ooh, this is a good one. I used to be that way, by the way, John. Very much so, because I'm an analytical by nature, C-type personality. So I would constantly overanalyze, get to the edge of the cliff, and then walk myself back by just, hey, I'm going to play safe. My brain's going to hold me back and play safe because I'm comfortable, right? Because jumping off, oh boy, things can go wrong. Yeah, you're right. Things could go wrong, but things could go really right too. And everything you want in life is just outside of that comfort zone. Everything you want in life is just outside of that comfort zone. So that's a big, big mental thing that people get through. It's getting to the edge of the cliff and being able to say, okay, I've calculated risks. I've done everything I can do, like within my power that I can control. Sometimes you got to jump off the cliff and allow the how to show up. And trust me, it will. It has to, because if it doesn't, you fail. And you don't like to fail, like in terms of collapsing, so you make it happen. Trust me. You got to believe in yourself, trust in yourself, and go for yourself, and bank on yourself. Okay, awesome. So the limiting financing and capital, hands down, usually tends to be the biggest one. So I appreciate that. I'm going to share those results so everybody can see that. Overthinking it, Ed. Yep, good one. Trying to figure out the steps 9 and 10 before you do 1 and 2. So you know what was great about what is great about my dad, and I got caught up in the B, C, D, E, F, G. He was always an A, right? Stop sharing that and get out of that. He was always an A. He wanted to go to Z. He didn't care about B, C, D, E, F, G. He would hire people for that. He just knew he was here. He wanted to go to here. He was going to make that happen no matter what. And he was brilliant at having the big vision and going and making it happen. And then bringing people in for all the detail. So it depends on your personality. Depends on your personality. So awesome. Okay. Well, money, guys, money, and this was taught to me some time ago, money is a game. Okay. When you understand the U.S. economy, right? The U.S. economy is derived up of creators and contributors. Creators and contributors. Creators are entrepreneurs. They are business owners. You are 1099 by the IRS. A contributor is a W-2 employee. If you're on here and you're collecting a Friday paycheck and you get a W-2 from your employer, you're a contributor. You have creators and contributors. Creators and contributors. That is the entire capitalistic system in the United States of America. Now, what they don't tell you is that the IRS loves creators, does not love contributors. And you see that in the tax benefits that they give you, okay? You see it in the tax benefits that they give you. And the reason why the IRS loves creators is because creators create jobs. They move money. When you move a lot of money in the U.S. economy, the IRS loves that. That is capitalism 101. And the more money you move, the more opportunities you create, the more jobs you create, the more capital gets moved, the more things happen, right? Creators create products and services that then come over here and the contributors consume and use them. And then the money leaves the pocketbooks of the contributors and it comes right back over to the pocketbooks of the creators. And that is the system. So if you want to get rich, if you want financial freedom, if you want generational wealth, if you want all these things, time, choices, if you want these things, the only way to get it is here. The only way to get it is to become a creator. You have to become an investor. You have to become a business owner. You have to be 1099 by the IRS. That is the only way it happens. You can do well here. There's nothing wrong with being a contributor, but just understand that there are limits to that ability. meaning there's only so far you can go with it because the system is designed that way. They're not going to give you all the tax breaks here. Okay. It's not about what you make. It's about what you keep. It's not about what you make. It's about what you keep. IRS gives the most tax advantages here because they want the creators to move amount of money, create a bunch of jobs, create opportunities, come up with ideas, investments, businesses, opportunities. They want that. So they're going to give the most benefits here so they can jack all that up. At the end of the day, the IRS isn't doing this out of their good heart and their goodwill. What they want is them to get super rich so that at some point the IRS will get theirs. They will get theirs. They just are going to get a piece of a bigger pie. So they're delaying gratification, if you want to call it that. That's why they do it. They want you to grow here, which is why they give all the benefits here. And then these people get mad at these people because they're like, you're getting all the tax benefits. You're not paying your fair share. You're not doing this. Well, you have to understand the IRS is designed it that way because they need the creators to create products and services to come over here so the money comes back here and does this. And that is the entire US economy. So I would suggest if you want all of this stuff, awesome. And if you're here, great, nothing wrong with that. But then just understand how the system works. And in order for you to get that, you've got to become that. You have to become that. And you have to jump off the cliff. That's the only way it's happening. Yeah, this was explained to me some time ago. And once I understood it, I was like, oh, so that's how it works? Yeah, that's how it works. That is how it works. So that is the money system of the United States of America and capitalism. I'm going to launch this. What are your mountains? Okay. I want you to look at these. And these are the things that inspire you because these are things that inspire people and move nations, right? Inspire people and move nations. So outside of money for a minute, what inspires you? I want you to pick three or four that inspire you, right? For me, for example, right, this is number one. You have to have a successful business because with successful business, you have capital and money coming in. Freely give, freely you receive. The law of reciprocity. That happens. We create community and opportunities and partnerships. That's how it works, okay? That's number two. So business, media, education, what we're doing right now. Education, and then here, family. Now, it's not just your personal family. I got 2 kids, 8 and 10, right? It's not just your family. It's also philanthropy, giving back, leaving a legacy, generational stuff. Like for us, I mean, I have 3 main charities that we focus on. One of them is Tunnels to Towers. Tunnels to Towers. If you haven't heard of that one, it started right after 9/11 out of New York, and it was designed to help pay off the mortgages of the widows left behind with their children from fallen soldiers and first responders, obviously after 9/11, right? All the firefighters and police, all these husbands, most of them passing because of 9/11, well, their wives are left behind with their kids. Well, they're now the financial breadwinners. The biggest burden they have is the house and the mortgage payment. So they paid off all the mortgages. So Tunnels to Towers focuses on that, and then they expanded it to soldiers and everything else. So Tunnels to Towers, huge. Love it. What's your passion on philanthropy? Then we have SEAL Future Foundation, where we help transition Navy SEALs, team guys, from team life into civilian life, both mentally, physically, and financially, all the above. And then lastly is disadvantaged kids, because there's nothing worse. You know, I was fortunate, right? I grew up middle class, you know, not rich, not poor, but then my dad was a transitional character in our family, right? He made it big. He also lost it big. So he did both. But I was blessed, right? I had 2 parents in the household. I was taught to think big, go big, you know, think great things. And not everybody has that opportunity. Not everybody's given that opportunity. People have different starting points in life. And so one of the biggest things for me is to help mentor youth on, hey, what's possible? And then giving them a role model and a mentor to like dream towards. Because if you just have those 2 things, if you're educated and you have some form of mentorship or some form of a role model to look after, sky's the limit, regardless of your starting point in life, right? If you don't know what you don't know and you can't believe because you don't have that around you, it's tough. It's tough. So those are the big things in my life. But looking at everybody else, you got the business, the education, sports and culture, government, religion, all beautiful. Because these are the things that are going to drive you. When you don't want to get out of bed tomorrow morning because you're tired, think about this. Dead serious. When you're thinking, should I go do this? Should I make this happen in my life? Think about these things. It's being 80 years old, sitting on my deathbed, having to meet my 40-year-old self and telling my 40-year-old self, I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't go for it. I'm sorry I didn't live up to the expectations you set for yourself, and the family member, the people around are banking on you. I'm sorry I didn't go for it. All because of fear. Paralysis by analysis. I'm sorry. Like, that is my literal anxiety every day. If you don't know why I'm out of bed at 5 a.m. every single day, it's typically along with some of these other ones. So yeah, it's legit. So this is a great exercise for you. It's self-identity exam. Which ones of these are most paramount to you? Because that's what's going to drive you when things get tough, right? When you don't want to do something, right? When you don't want to do something, this is going to move you. So awesome. Community. Some of you may know me, some of you don't know me. It's kind of irrelevant, but you know, born and raised in San Diego, kind of third generation. Learned from my grandmother, who's 91, in the apartment space a little bit, and then she took from my dad. My dad did really well in life, and I kind of learned from him. But like I said, we didn't grow up rich. We grew up in a little 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, and then my dad was able to kind of be self-made and did very, very well. But then lost it all in the financial crisis. Literally, 2008 through 10, boom, complete implosion. So I learned a lot, and you know, learned not to over leverage. Learned that I didn't want to be just in the for sale game, right? And build, sell, build, sell, build, sell. And that's where the apartment space really came in, about the consistency of cash flow, leveraging, you know, cash flowing assets. You know, got to remember, people need 3 things. They need food, water, and shelter. Food, water, shelter. And shelter is a big piece of that. And they either rent or they own. They rent or they own. And as you can see what's happening, we are moving into a renter nation in the United States. We're following in the footsteps of Europe. We're typically 10 years behind, but we're moving in that direction. When you have 1 in 4 properties in the United States of America owned by institutional firms, and then they rent them back to people. 1 in 4. 1 in 4. That's wild. So we are becoming a renter nation. Now, take advantage of it. That's cool. You can go own it, rent it back to people. That's what you're here doing tonight, to learn how to do that, right? But community is everything. So we created Multifamily School. That is a community, right? An education for helping people, right? How do people come in, take action, collaborate, partnerships, all that stuff around the country. Multifamily School was started mainly because organically people were coming to me as they were seeing how we were growing our portfolios and getting into multifamily around the country. They're saying, dude, can you teach this stuff? And I said, initially, no, because I'm like, I don't have the time. And I thought about it. I said, here's the only way I will do it. If we can create a community of well-trained investors around the country who are helping execute and have success, but then by law of reciprocity gives us opportunities to partner and grow, so that way we can grow our portfolio while we're helping them grow theirs. That's how you do it. Everybody's winning. So that's why Multifamily School was created. Okay. It's all about the community, people coming together, doing things, doing deals, doing big deals, small deals, all the above. Okay. So that is ultimately why we did it and why you're here tonight, to learn how to do this. Okay. So let's get into how to buy apartments. How to buy apartments. So when I got started, just so you understand, kind of quick track record. Like I said, learned a little bit from my dad, but I never kind of went to go work at my dad's companies until almost right before the financial crisis. And then it all imploded. And so I had to help him consolidate his companies. And then I had the chance to become an asset manager for a lot of the major banks at that time, doing all the foreclosures, the REOs, for all the banks around the country. I mean, I was managing 200-300 assets at a time, hiring all the realtors, cash for keys, evictions, I mean, renovations, getting them ready, turn back on the market, I mean, you name it, I was doing it on the back end as the guy behind the computer. And that was great for like 2 years. And then I saw it transitioning from foreclosures, REOs, bank-owned properties, into short sales, okay, where it's a stressed asset, but it needs bank approval, right? The homeowner still owns it, right? We still own the properties, and we're selling it for less than the loan against it. So it just needs the bank approval before it can happen. But that allowed me to go out into the marketplace with a broker's license, right? I had a broker's license, help a lot of people do short sales. We helped an enormous amount of people do short sales during that difficult time. And then it transitioned into traditional real estate, where we're at today. And from there, I did luxury real estate for about 10 years, but all the while, like literally in 2010, and just before that, I'm like, man, we need to buy property. Like in the financial crisis, I'm like, I know there's blood in the street, but I was told you buy property, even if there's blood in the street and it's your blood. Like you go by. And so, but I was broke. I was getting my butt handed to me, right? I'm in real estate. But I said, listen, I have the knowledge. Because you got to remember, you have the knowledge or you have the money. You have the knowledge or you have the money, or if you're lucky, you have both. But at that time, I had knowledge and no money. So I had to go find somebody with money. So I went to a friend of mine who I had met in graduate school. And I said, Chris, you remember we talked about doing apartments? We wanted multifamily. We wanted to get into this game of buying real estate, blah, blah, blah. Well, now's the time. Now's the time. And it was in 2010. We got our first condo. It was a $100,000 condo. I kid you not. $100,000 condo. We put a $75,000 loan down, and we took $25,000 in equity, and we put it in. And he put the equity in, by the way. I was just the one that bird dogged it. I found it. I analyzed it. I put it together. I ran the deal. I managed it, rolled in my commissions. I did everything sweat equity-wise. He put in the capital, signed on the loan. First deal, 50-50 split. And that became our company today, Brennan Poley Group Capital. And that's where we're at. And we've gone from one condo in 2010 to now just under 600 units, $180 million in assets as of today. And that's where we're at. Now we're going to 10,000 in a billion, right? That's where we're going. So we need to get to 1,000 first. It's going to happen. And then boom, boom, boom. But it started with one. So if you, from anybody sitting here saying, I can't, you started with $100,000 where we're at today. And I can show you how to do it. It's hard, but it's not that hard. Okay. So how do you buy apartments? Well, first and foremost, as was mentioned earlier, you got to know how to find the deals. How do you find deals? How do you find deals? So we're going to go through that. Okay. And I can't go over all 5 of these, but we're going to start and go over the top 3. Okay. Finding, analyzing, and finance. And we'll touch on these and these as we go through it. Okay. So here we go. So real quick, how do you make money in multifamily? I said the 5 to 8 ways. Let me touch on these real quick. The first being an acquisition fee. When you put these deals together, you get paid a fee for putting it together for you and the investors, typically 2 to 3% of the purchase price. You also get what's called an asset management fee. This is above the property management fees. So there's property management for the property managers. Then there's an asset management fee for you to manage the managers. Typically 1 to 2% of the revenue on the building monthly. Then you're going to get 30 to 40% of the cash flow monthly. Then you're going to get 30 to 40% of the profits, typically paid 2 times. I'll get into that. Then 30 to 40% of the tax write-offs and the huge tax write-offs that come through these things. Okay. And then if you're doing renovations, you can get a construction management fee, typically paid monthly during the construction of 5 to 8%. A disposition fee that is paid when you sell the property down the road years later. Okay. Typically a 0.5 point to 2 points, percentage points. Then on top of that, you can also get paid what's called a finder's fee. So if you did nothing else, making good deals and bringing them to people, you can get paid typically 1% of the purchase price. Okay, typically 1% of the purchase price. And then you can additionally, what's called, and I won't get into crazy detail, called a GP promote, general partnership promote, where you get a piece of the ownership on top of the fee. Okay, on top of the fee. But I won't dive too crazy into the weeds tonight. Okay. Then let's say you found deals, and let's say you know some people that have some money. So I found the deal and I brought it to the person that's going to take it down, and then I can raise some money from people by making connections. Great. I can get paid a capital fee. Typically, you have to be involved in the ownership to do that, but that's fine. Capital fees, 3% of the money you raise. So there are all kinds of different ways to make money in this game of multifamily. Okay. It's really, really, really key. Because like I said, there's 5 to 8, 9 different ways you do this. And there's ways to do it. So there's all kinds of options, okay? So finding deals. Finding deals. There are 2 ways you find deals. Direct to the brokers and direct to the sellers. Okay, direct to brokers, direct to sellers. Now, direct to seller is an okay approach if you have lots of capital and time. But most of you who are probably on here tonight, you either have a job or a business that you run. So there's probably limited time that you have to do this and to be able to make this transition. No different than I was. I was doing 10 hours a day of real estate sales and then coming home, and after family time with kids and wife and everybody else, kids go to bed, and now it's 8 to 10 p.m. at night or whatever it is, looking for deals, putting things together, right? Double hustling, right? Double hustling until the double hustle, the side hustle overtakes the main hustle. Make sense? So that's how you're going to have to do it. But if you have lots of time and money, direct to seller is a great approach when you're starting. But for most people here, it's not. So that's not going to be a good method. I'm going to tell you to zero that one out for a minute, because you're going to have to make phone calls, do mailers, do all kinds of these other things, and spend a lot of time and energy and money to get that to execute. It's not most efficient for your time. So I'm not even going to try and teach it, because it's not the right way to get started. Okay. The correct way to get started is direct to broker. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay. You have websites, and then you have pre-market stuff. Okay. So you have websites like LoopNet, CoStar, Crexy.com, other websites that are out there. And I'm going to show you one of them tonight. Okay. So direct to brokers, you are leveraging the brokers on-market deals through the websites, okay, to get access to their pre-market inventory. The point being behind this is, unlike residential real estate sales, right? If you wanted to buy a house today, where would you go? Zillow, Trulio, Realtor.com, right? Redfin. You'd go to those websites because 90 to 95% or even more of the inventory is available to see on the websites, right? There's only so much off-market or pre-market. Most of it's presented, especially with the laws now that happen, okay? So websites. With commercial, with multifamily, only 40% of the deals are on these websites, okay? Only 40%. So if I come on here and I'm showing you now Crexy.com, okay? Crexy.com. It's a free market. You can go and search for commercial real estate anywhere in the United States. And it's a great platform. It's a great platform, okay? But it's only showing you 40% of all the inventory available in the United States of America. And in some cases, probably less. But I'm going to be nice, okay? 40%. 60% is pre-market. And you know this. This is not new news. So now it comes down to, great, Justin, that's nice. How do I get access to those? I know that it's pre-market. I know that it's off-market. I know that's the game. How do I get access to that? Here you go. You're going to leverage the brokers on-market deals to get access to their pre-market inventory. Pre-market inventory. So how do you do that? How do you do that? We're going to go through an example here this evening, but literally, this is how you do it. I'd come to Crexy.com. We're going to take Oklahoma, for example. Simple example. I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to start, because I like Oklahoma. Let's say we're going to go into Oklahoma. We're going to start looking for deals. So you can send out a lot of them, right? It's very, but I'd come in and I'd see 3 different properties I like. So I'm like, okay, I like that one. Great. And then I like, let's talk about that one. Great. So I got that one, I got that one, and I got that one, right? I got 3 different properties. Great. I see the brokers down here. I see Garrett and Dave, and I see another Garrett and Dave. So he's a market mover. He's doing some stuff. Got Melissa right here. Great. But I would probably take 3 different properties with 3 different brokers in the market that I'm interested in. Ring, ring, ring. Hey, Garrett, how you doing? This is Justin Brennan with the Brennan Pulley Capital. I'm interested. Hey, I'm looking at your property over here on 123 East Side Street, 20-unit deal, and I am interested in it. Like, can you tell me a little bit about it and kind of some information, kind of let them ramble a little bit and all that stuff. You say, great, well, I'm going to be in town, presuming you're in town or maybe you're out of state, whatever it may be. I'm going to be in town in such dates. So how are you guys doing tours? When are you guys taking offers? How is that going down? You're building a little bit of rapport. It doesn't matter whether or not that deal makes financial sense. It's irrelevant. What you're starting to do is leverage the, hey, I got deals. I'm a broker in the market, which means if I have these deals on the website that you're seeing, I probably have a bunch of deals pre-market. If I'm a mover and shaker in the industry, I'm going to have some pre-market deals. So as long as you make a decent relationship with me, you're probably going to begin to start to get access to those. And those are the deals that will make sense. The stuff on the websites, Crexy right here, 99.999999999% of it makes no sense. And you know that because you're probably underwriting and going, this stuff sucks. Yeah, it does suck. Because the only reason it made it to that website is because it's overpriced and it doesn't make financial sense. So the only way to get it to make financial sense is you got to come back and really cut the price. And sometimes sellers don't want to do that, so they don't sell. But most of the deals are done here. So you need access to those, and that's how you do it. That's how we did our first deal in Kansas City, Missouri. 27 years. Got 3 deals online. Made some calls, made connections, said, hey, I'm going to be there on state. I'd like to tour these properties. 1, 2, 3, relationships with the brokers. Those brokers introduced the 3 property management companies that I interviewed. Those property management companies instructed to help with the renovations. And now I had my little mini team in Kansas City, Missouri. Done in 1 weekend. So it's just a matter of how you're going to execute. Remember, it's never a lack of resources. It's always a lack of resourcefulness. Okay. But that's how you're going to execute. Right. Does that make sense? And then obviously, listen, there's a lot of nuance to this. So it's not, it's not just so easy. There's a lot of nuance. What do you say to the brokers? How do you say it? How do you get handheld? All the nuance, right? That's important. You need to learn it, and it's learnable, but you have to learn the nuance. Okay. But that's how you would execute. That's how you're going to execute. So that's the finding deals part. Now, kind of getting into the analyzing a deal, right? Remember we talked about the different parts? So that's how you find deals. Now let's talk about analyzing. So what makes up a good deal? If I was analyzing something back of the napkin pretty quick, moving through it, like what would I look for quickly to see whether or not I should even look further in that deal? So really quickly put, you're looking for annual return, or in this case, you look for what's called an IRR, internal rate of return. Similar but different. I'm not going to get into that tonight. Cash on cash return and equity multiple, EM, equity multiple. So for a deal to make sense to where you'd actually go farther in looking at it, you would want something that's producing a 14 to 20+% annual rate of return. Cash on cash return of 6 to 10% or more. And an equity multiple, meaning if I give you 100 grand, how much am I getting back? So if I give you 100 grand and it's 1.8, I'm getting $180,000 back. If I give you 100 grand and it's a 2.0, I get $200,000 back. Equity multiple, right? What is that? You want that at 1.8 or more. So those are the metrics. So any analyzing you're doing on any deals that you may or may not have right now, right? And all the students in the mentorship that we teach and coach and guide say, they're always asking, what should I be looking for? This is how you start. And in that deal analyzer we're giving you, make sure it matches up to those. And when it does, we'll help you review those numbers, and then you start making offers. But it needs to hit these first before you go farther. If it doesn't hit these first, you see where it can. Maybe it's price. You have to adjust some things to get it to hit those metrics. And that's where you make your offer out. Okay, that's where you make your offer out. Awesome. So that's kind of what, generally speaking, makes up a good deal. A good deal. So now let's talk about a basic formula for how you would actually underwrite an apartment building, analyzing the deal. The power of net operating income. So NOI stands for net operating income. So similar to a business, any business, you have revenue, you have expenses, and then you have a profit. In other words, net operating income, aka profit or gross profit. So the power of the net operating income, to kind of show you how awesome this is. If you simply increase the net operating income of that building or that business, right? Building $1,000 a month or $12,000 a year, $1,000 a month or $12,000 a year, that's equal to $220,000 in increased value put into your pocketbook. Just like that. Why? Because the value, you do this. This is a formula. The value equals net operating income over a cap rate. Okay? Now, what is a cap rate? A cap rate is a rate of return in the marketplace, right, for return on investment. Meaning, if I bought this building all cash, this is what my return would be. If I didn't put any debt or loan or leverage or anything on it, this is what my return would be, cap rate. It's a capitalization rate of return in the marketplace, or if I just bought something cash and I had no leverage on it. So generally speaking, right now, if I were to take this $1,000 or $12,000 a year, okay, and I put it into my little formula to see, hey, if I increased the income on the building by $1,000 a month, the net operating income $1,000 a month, that's $12,000 a year, right? It's $12,000 a year. And then let's say the capitalization rate in the marketplace, and you can get this from brokers, you can see it from websites, you can see what other properties are selling for. The data is there to determine a cap rate for the market, okay? But let's presume it was 5.5%, which is pretty fair right now. Somewhere in 5.5 to 6.5, somewhere in there would be fair. That, you take 12,000 divided by that. If you do the math, you're going to get somewhere right around there. So I literally, for increasing the building operating income $1,000 a month, which think about it for a minute. If you had a 10-unit building and you increased the rent $100 a month, $1,000 a month, you just now put $220,000 in your pocket. You did nothing else. Bump the rent. Found a way to bump the rent $100 a month. That's it. That's it. So the power of net operating income is really, really, really powerful. Okay. So the formula for underwriting a deal, and deal analyzers do this, right? By the way, all the deal analyzers, the Excel deal analyzers, the analyzers that we give you, they all do this stuff. Okay. All do this stuff. So gross income, you're going to take out economic loss, right? And people say, well, what is economic loss? Economic loss is encompassed in 4 things: physical vacancy, loss to lease, which is the difference between your market rent you're paying or what you're getting. So let's say the market rents were $1,200 a month for the building, for the market, and then you're only getting $1,000 for that. Well, you have a $200 loss to lease. That's what a loss to lease is. Bad debt. Some people don't pay their rent. And then concessions. Sometimes you need to give people concessions to move in. You're seeing a lot of that in the marketplace right now. So that's economic loss. And then you're going to add in other income. This could be pet rent. This could be parking income. This could be administration fees, application fees, trash income, all kinds of income. Okay. Other income. And that gets you to this number called effective gross income, EGI. Effective gross income. You don't have to worry about all this stuff right now. I'm just giving you, because honestly, it doesn't matter whether it's a 2-unit property or a 200-unit property. Okay? It doesn't matter. It's going to follow the same pattern. It's the same formula. There's just more zeros. Same formula. So effective gross income. And then from there, you deduct operating expenses. This is property taxes, insurance, property management, repairs and maintenance, all these things that you've seen in your rental properties operating statements. Take out the expenses, and then you get to this beautiful number that we were showing earlier, right? Net operating income. And then to get the value, you take the NOI divided by cap rate is going to give you the value of the building. That's how you literally establish. So a cap rate, just keep in mind, it's like an algebraic formula. If you know 2, you can get the third. If you know 2, you can get the third. And so you switch that formula around. The cap rate equals the net operating income over the value or the price. So let's say you knew, right? Because they do this. If you knew the net operating income of the building and you knew the price they were asking for the building, well, then you could determine the cap rate they were trying to achieve. Other way around. If you knew these 2, you could figure out the cap rate, right? So if you knew the NOI and you knew the price, you could figure out what the cap rate is. All that stuff. And vice versa. If you knew the cap rate and the NOI, you can figure out the price. So it's 2 to the 3. We'll always figure out the third. And that gets you to cash flow after you take out your debt service. So I was going to run a quiz for you and say, hey, do you guys know what net operating income is? Is it before or after your debt service? Well, there's your answer. It's before your debt service. So this is basically your profit before you pay your mortgage. Okay. And then after that is where you get to the cash flow that goes into your pocket, into the pocketbook of your investors. Okay. Yeah, because keep in mind, and Dean, you made a great point, by the way. Great point. Unlike residential, where to establish value, you compare your property to other properties in the neighborhood. That's what you do with residential. With commercial, it's all business oriented. So you could literally have the exact same property side by side. And the net operating income of building A is $2,000 per month more. So $24,000 a year more than building B. Which one's more valuable? Building A or building B? Building A is $450,000 more valuable, literally if it's the exact same building. Identical building, identical everything. Because this one's operating better, it's more valuable. That's how commercial works. It's not about feelings. There's no feelings. It's all financials, okay? That's also why it's easier for you to go get a loan on one of these properties easier than it is to go get a home loan on a house. Because remember, residential is feelings, commercial is numbers. That's the big difference. All right, let's get to the fun point. Raising money. Everybody wants to know. So the things we've gone through, right? We've shown you how to find the deals. How do you quickly analyze them? We have deal analyzers that we give people, and our mentees and everybody has these things, and you can analyze the property pretty quick. And then raising the money, right? So this is where everybody tends to get stuck, right? Oh gosh, I found this great deal. I've analyzed it. It makes sense. Crap, I want to make an offer. How do I finance it? I don't have all the money. How do I put it together? How do I get the loan? How do I get the equity? How do I, all this stuff? How do I do it all? Right? How do I do it all? I totally get it. I was thinking the same thing until I understand how OPM works, other people's money in conjunction with my money. So you need some, you just don't need a lot. I'm going to show you that right now. So raising money, you have debt and then you have equity. You have debt and you have equity. This is a little box. I call this my little capital stack. Okay, capital stack, because typical capital stacks involve, in today's market specifically, involve a loan of 65 to 70% of the value of the building. And then you're bringing in about 30 to 35% in equity. Okay, and that's the typical capital stack. So the whole 10% down, 20% down, no, it doesn't happen in today's market, especially with the interest rates. So you're 30, 35%, 65, 70% loans. So that's how the capital stack is going to work. Okay, so you have debt and you have equity. So on the equity side, which is the down payment, that's like the hardest part for people. How do you bring that together? How does it happen? Well, there's a couple ways that money is brought into deals. There's creative financing. Seller can keep money in. One of our mentees just had that happen. He left in, I think, 800 grand as a first trustee, and then left in another 200 grand as an actual investor. So he was also a lender and an investor for the buyers on the deal. Creatively financed that deal. It was super cool. Investors, right? OPM, other people's money. Listen, I'm in the middle of a $5 million capital raise on a new deal that we have. You'd be shocked how easy it is to raise money, even if you don't have a lot of reputation, by the way, but you have a good deal, right? And you have a good process. If you have a good deal and you have a good process, then raising money is not that difficult. But if you don't have a good deal and you don't have a good process, it's very hard. So you have to have a good deal and you have to have a good process to execute it to attract the money in. And then raising the money, specifically when you're getting started and you don't have a resume, right? It's not as you think. If you have a deal and you have a process, okay, and I'm going to show you that. Investors in OPM, your money, and then private lending, and then partnerships. That is how this equity gets put together. Okay, it's how it gets put together. And I'm going to literally break down some deals for you right now and show you in real time exactly how you would do them. Okay. So as I said, you need a deal that makes financial sense. You need a pitch deck, sales pitch of info about the property. So that's what a pitch deck is. So right now I'm in the process of raising $5 million for a 50-unit deal that we have. And we're using our pitch deck. It's a great little pitch deck that people use, and you can use it to raise capital with. But you need a pitch deck and you need a process. Deal, pitch deck, process. And if you have these mechanisms, extremely valuable, and you can raise money. And then the process and the hand-holding, trust me, you can do it. I did it. Our first deal, I raised $899,000. For that 27-unit deal in Kansas City, $899,000 I raised. Okay, I'd never raised money before, by the way, but I had a good deal that made financial sense, pitch deck, and a process, and we raised the money. And I was not like some syndicator. This is our first deal, like 27 units. So trust me, you can do it. You just need deal, pitch deck, process. That is how you will raise that money. So let's break down a deal. This is a real deal. Literally, it's the one I just showed you on the screen. All right, here we go. Baby is in Oklahoma. I'm going to show you this. So this deal's on the market right now for $1,295,000. I think we'll get it for $1,250,000. So let's presume a little discount because I know that it's overpriced. But $1,295,000, it's on the market currently. We're going to go ahead and take a look at that thing, how you would structure it, the money involved, how you put it together, all that stuff. Okay. I'm not going to analyze whether or not it makes sense or not. That's for a separate thing. But I'm going to show you how we would structure it. Okay. So here we go. This is a 20-unit deal asking $1,295,000. So we're going to go ahead and get it for $1,250,000. We're gonna have about $100,000 in closing costs in the deal. We're gonna renovate the building. So let's say we put a little over 10,000, or is it 20 unit, a little under $10,000 a unit, $170,000 we're gonna put into it. So we're gonna be all into that baby for about $1,520,000, all cost in, all cost in. Now we can go out and get a loan on that property for about 70% loan to cost. Loan to cost, not loan to value, loan to cost, right? On the $1,520,000, that's $1,000,001. It's easier to get this loan than it is for you to go get a $300,000 house loan, because the bank is going to make sure that the financials of that property substantiate paying that loan for you. So you're not, I mean, you're not on the hook for the loan, right? You're there, but you're secondary to the process. The property is primary. That's why it's easier. That's why you don't have to have great credit. Don't be a fraud. You can't be showing up a 480 credit or even probably 500 credit. But as long as you have a 600 credit score or above, you can do fine. Okay, you can do fine. So $1,000,001 on your loan, $420,000 in equity. That's the difference, right? $1,000,001 and $420 in equity. So now the question becomes, remember, how do we raise the equity? Remember the different ways we talked about? How do we raise the equity? Here we go. So the $420,000 in equity, you are going to bring in 10% of the money. You're going to bring in 10% of the money. You're also going to get an acquisition fee. Remember we talked about acquisition fees? Remember how you get paid? Awesome. 3% acquisition fee on this deal is $37,500. That literally is going to come out at the close of escrow. It's built into your closing costs. So $42,000 is going in, literally. Watch, it's going to leave this pocket, and then $37,000 is going to go into this pocket. So you're going to basically do that. So you're out of pocket $4,500, and now you have control of a building. It's 20 units. Mary, you had a question. If you don't want to raise money, not a problem. You can do it all yourself. You can put in all the money. I just wouldn't recommend it. You can, but I don't recommend it. Okay. Rookie novice investors will put in all the money themselves, right? That's what they'll do because they don't know any different, and they think somehow that if they don't put in all the money, they lose control. And I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with that, right? I totally get it. But you're not leveraging the true process of what this is, right? To do this correctly and scale your money and get rich and to get what you want, you need to leverage your money with other people's money, because there are a lot of people. Everybody wants to invest in real estate. Everybody. I don't know a single person that does not want to invest in real estate. It's not a question of whether they want to invest or not. It's, is the deal good? Do they like the deal? And do they like and trust you? Do they think you're a fraud, or do they like and trust that if they give you their money, you're not going to run off and turn them into an American Greed show in 2 years, right? So that's what it matters. People want to invest in real estate. It's just a matter of, do you have a deal that makes sense? And if I give you my money, can I trust you? That's really what it boils down to. So Dean, yes and no to your question. You've never done a deal before, therefore, why would anybody entrust me to work with them and give me their money and give me this, give me that? No and yes to that. So people, you don't have to worry about whether or not you have the resume and if you've done it before on this type of stuff. That's why we keep you small, right? I'm not asking you to go get some 50, 60, 100 unit building. It's never going to happen anyways. But somewhere in this realm of 10 to 30 units, okay, a building like this you can execute on very easily, very easily. But that's why you get taught. That's why you learn. That's also why you don't go do it alone, right? Now, if you went off and you didn't know what you were doing and you hadn't taken any courses and you just were trying to wing it, yeah, it's going to be a hard time. But that's why you have to know what you're doing, or at least be handheld by people who do, and then learn the process of it, right? And I don't care if you want to go off on YouTube and watch 10 million hours of videos. You can learn it, but then there's still the nuance of execution and the handholding. It just depends, right? It depends on how fast do you want to fast track the process, how many errors and omissions do you want to avoid, how much money do you want to lose? I mean, it comes down to that. Where do you want to go with it? Because you can self-teach yourself, not a problem. but you may just lose a bunch more money, it may take a bunch more time, but you'll eventually probably figure it out. It just may or may not end well for you. I just don't know. But you can absolutely execute if you've not done this before, if you stick to this size. If you stick to this size, 100%. Great question, though, by the way. Mary, it's acquisition fees. They're called acquisition fees because you're the sponsor, bringing the deal, putting it together, and running the show. And so by being the sponsor and the general partner of the deal, you get paid an acquisition fee. Very standard. It's not a wholesale fee. A finder's fee is what you're talking about, is totally separate. Totally separate. If you found the deal and brought it to someone like me, right, I can pay you a finder's fee. That's like a wholesale fee, basically. Exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. Great question. But that is how you would structure, basically speaking, $1,250,000 deal, 20 units, right? This is how you go buy like a 20-unit building. Fairly easy. Fairly easy. You know, guys, you're only going to have $4,500 out of pocket. Like, I want you to think about this for a minute. You're about to go control, own, and manage a 20-unit apartment building for $4,500 out of pocket. Tell me where else you can pull that one off. And with that, okay, you're going to get the acquisition fee of 2 to 3%, asset management fee of 1 to 2%. You're going to get 30 to 40% of the cash flow coming from the property, 30 to 40% of the profits coming from the property, right? And then you get other fees and stuff involved too. Tax advantages, all these other things for $4,500 out of pocket. Remember I mean, it's not even 20 grand out of pocket. It's 4,500. And that's very realistic. I mean, I can't even tell you the deal we're doing right now and the money I'm about to make from it. I mean, it's stupid, but you have to understand that you get paid well by the problems that you solve. Okay? Your income in life is directly equivalent to the problems that you solve. If you solve big problems for people, investors, society in general, you get paid very, very, very well. Think about it. Brain surgeon, very, very well. Why? Solves big, big problems. Hedge fund managers solve big, big problems. Right? If you think about the people that solve big, big problems, they make big, big, big money. It's not equivalent to effort per se. It's equivalent to knowledge and execution. So go solve big problems, which here you are. Think about it. You're going to be producing returns for investors at 14 to 20% a year on their money. Otherwise, they wouldn't have a deal. They wouldn't be able to do it. They want to invest in real estate. They just need a deal to entrust in and then go execute. And you're helping them do that. You're solving a big problem for people, right? They want to invest in real estate. They just don't have a trusted resource and they don't have a deal they like. So you're bringing that to them. And they want to give you your money because they want to invest in real estate. They just need trusted resource and a deal. Okay. So you're solving big problems. Therefore, you get paid well. Mary, you are the buyer of the property, but you are the syndicator putting it together. Okay, you're the buyer, you're the owner, right? But you're syndicating the deal with you and other investors. So for that, you get paid a fee. It's that simple. You don't have to think through it too much. Yeah, if we're doing that, we're doing the work and the hard work you're doing and putting it all together and running and managing the entire thing, you get paid a fee for doing that. You are the buyer. You're the person buying the deal, okay? You're the ownership and buying it. We're going to get into the structure in just a minute, okay? But this is the financial setup for it, okay? So you're buying the deal. You're going to be the owner, and you're doing it in an LLC. We're going to show you that here in just a minute. Great questions, though. Yes, it's an LLC structure. I'm going to show you that right now. That's next step. So I wanted to show you the money breakdown. Now I'm going to show you the structure breakdown. This is the money breakdown. So as long as we got that handled, let's go ahead and move on to the structure. So here's your structure. This is exactly how you would structure the deal from a legal perspective and financially. So you got the property address, LLC. You here, you're the general partner in the deal. You put it together, you're running it, you manage it, you're doing the day-to-day, you're the big dog. You brought in 10% of the money. For that, you get 30% of the deal. Over here are your investors, right? They're bringing in 90% of the money and they're getting 70% of the deal. They also get what's called a preferred return. Now, how does that break down? Because it gets even cooler for you. Remember, I told you there's more stuff. I'm going to show you some really cool stuff. So let's say you went out and you were going to raise, right, the $420,000. Because remember, the money you're raising is $420,000. You're bringing in 42 of it. This is your investors. That's the equity. That's your portion. That's the investors. Let's work back here. Let's say you went out and got an investor for 60,000. Another one comes in for 150,000, then 25,000, 100,000, 75. You, because you're the general partner, your money gets to invest right alongside your investors. You get the benefits over here, and then you also get the benefit over here. You get to double dip the deal. That's the beauty of syndication, okay? In addition, remember all the ways I said you get paid? You get an acquisition fee. You get an asset management fee. You get 30% of the cash flow, 30% of the profits. You get your portion of the preferred return. You get your percentage of the 70% of the cash flow. You get to double dip the deal. But this is how you would structure it. Let me open this up to questions right now. So Ellie, you'd asked, is this an LLC structure? Yes, you saw that. And it is a Reg D through the SEC. That is correct. That is correct. But we teach all of that. It's not a big frightening thing. It's just if it's foreign to you, you don't understand it initially, but then we teach how to do that. Can I ask about your 50-unit deal? Yeah, we can talk about that separately. Hold on one second. What about sponsors? You are the sponsor. They have the real estate schedule. So you are the sponsor. You can bring in anybody into that deal as the sponsor to help along with it, with capital, with signing on loans, right? But once I said, remember, when you get a commercial deal, it's easier to get the loan because remember, you're not doing the underwriting for you. When you go get the loan, the bank's not saying, show me your bank statements. They're saying, show me the property's bank statements, right? Show me the property's tax return. Show me the property's financials. Show me the rent roll, the T12, all these other things. I want to know the property's financials. You're irrelevant. You're secondary over here, right? We'll look at you later. But I want the property first, which is why getting the loan is not that difficult. If you have a pulse and a breath and you're not a complete moron, you can get the loan. I'm dead serious. It's not that hard to get the loans. People, you don't want to limit, the belief system in there. It's not that hard. Let's see. Keep going in here real quick. Let me answer these questions. How do you do this deal but not be the general partner? You are the general partner, so I answered that. John, you are the general partner. GP tends to have a lot more liability than a limited partner. That is correct. You're the general partner, you're the sponsor. Hope I've answered that. That's right. So you're running the show. You're controlling the deal. You have voting rights, controlling rights. You are the general partner sponsoring the deal. Sounds too good to be true. What's the catch? Well, I guess, Gilbert, what would be your catch? What's your concern? Happy to answer for you. But yeah, when you say too good to be true, you're putting money in the deal. You're running the show. You're putting in a lot of sweat equity. You're doing all this stuff. Very common, not uncommon. So it's not like you're coming in with no money and getting everything free and running out of Dodge. And no, you got skin in the game. You got sweat in the game. You're there. You're signing on stuff. You're the general partner. You're taking on, right, the deal. So that's why, because you're solving big problems, you get paid well. Remember that. You're solving big problems, you get paid well. Yes, Daniel, you charge the fee. That's what the acquisition fee is. Correct. And then you get asset management fees and all these other things as part of the sponsorship. What is a T12? T12 is a profit and loss statement for the last 12 months. Hence T12 time T 12 months. T12. You're the ringmaster of the circus. That's right, baby. And because you're the ringmaster of the circus, you get paid well. That's exactly right. Remember, you're solving big problems. And when you solve big problems, you get paid well. But guys, this is why you have to know what you're doing and you have to be taught. And maybe you already know all this stuff, but if you don't, you need to learn it. And then you need to be handheld, right? If you want this life, if you want all this stuff, you need to either have the knowledge or you have the money. Remember I said you need to have the sweat equity or the real equity. And if you're lucky enough, you have both. But if you don't, get the knowledge, right? Because if you don't have the money, how do you go get the money? You got to get very, very knowledgeable so you become very valuable for somebody with money. What do you think I did when I got started? When I was getting my butt kicked in 2008, what did I do? I had all the knowledge, but I had no money. So I needed to become very valuable to somebody with money. So I needed to know how to execute. How do I go find deals? How do I analyze them? How do I put them together? How do I raise the money? How do I close? How do I manage? If you learn those things, you're very, very, very valuable. You solve big freaking problems. And when you solve big freaking problems, you make big, big money. It's real simple. It's real simple, but you got to know what you're doing. And that's why you come here. That's why you're learning. And that's how we can help you. Okay. Seems like everyone should be doing this. I would agree, but a lot of people are scared. I would agree, but a lot of people are scared. I mean, you're 100% right, Gilbert. 100% right. Once I learned this, I was like, I mean, initially I did the same thing. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, that doesn't, once you understand it, you're like, oh my gosh. But once again, you have to be very knowledgeable so that way you can go execute. You have to have the knowledge and the ability to do this. And it's extremely valuable. If you have the information and you know how to execute, you're extremely valuable. Your skill set is super high. And when you have a high skill set, boom, you can go make all the money and you can attract it. Can you please review the numbers again real quick? Yes, I can. Yeah, listen, if you, once again, guys, this goes right back to, and I appreciate everybody coming in here because Mike, you made a great point. Mike, awesome point. Okay, because that's why I brought this up. Remember this? Where do you want to be in your life? Everybody said that they're tired of the rat race. You want to get out of it. You want financial freedom. You want time. You want money. You want this. You want that. Guys, you're not going to get it sitting here. You will be 70 or 80 years old before you're able to, quote unquote, retire. But if you want this, then yes, you have to be the ringmaster. You have to know how to do this. That's what you're all here for, is to learn how to do this and to see how you can learn more how to do this. So you can actually execute on this and get out of this. That's the whole crux of the whole thing. So Mike, you made an awesome point because you're like, yeah, most people don't want to solve big problems and be the circus master and run the show. Well, then you're not going to make big, big money. And you're probably not going to have financial freedom. And you're not going to get out of the rat race. It's probably not going to happen. And that's, listen, totally cool. But, you know, from everybody that kind of shared coming on, this is what you want. So I'm trying to share with you how you get it, right? How you get it. Because I was here. I was here. And when I understood that, I'm like, no, no, I want that. Because this is, but I had to, you know, you got to work, right? You got to show up. You got to solve problems. But that was where it was at. So if you want out of this and you want to get to that, then yeah, you're going to be the ringmaster. It's a great point, Mike. So kind of review the numbers real quick one more time. The GP numbers. I'll touch on these two. I won't even get in because I took a little long. I won't even get into the deal that I did personally. Yeah, there's huge tax benefits, by the way, too. Daniel, you said no. If the bank requires me to have a sponsor, would you sponsor me for a fee? Sometimes we do. We typically begin to partner with our students and our mentees in the program once they've completed a deal or two, because now we know you can execute, and now sponsoring and going after bigger deals all day long. That's the beauty of the community. That's what we want. We want to partner with people all day long. So, but we typically, our partnership's not going to do it with somebody that has not learned how to do it just to do it. So, but yes, we can, to answer your question. That's a huge piece of the community that I was talking about earlier, is being able to partner. I mean, that's how we grow. That's how you grow. If we can help you win and execute, by all means, we win and execute too. There's a win-win. Tax benefits, part of the numbers that you shared. They're not part of the numbers that I share. So the tax benefits are cost segregation and accelerated depreciation. I'm not even going to get into that tonight. It's in our mentorship program. We teach people the ins and outs of all of that, but it's a whole, I could spend an hour on that baby. So that's a whole other deal. Beautiful. Okay. So we answered all those questions. I'm going to run through these numbers one more time and then answer a few more questions. But $1,250,000 property, $100,000 in closing costs, $170,000 in reno, total cost of $1,520,000. Now we're going to break this number down. You're getting a loan for that, total equity of that. You're bringing in 10%. Okay. You're getting that as a fee. So you're pocket $500. You're raising this in some way, shape, or form, $380,000. How is that going to happen? You're going to raise it in a few different ways. Could be seller financing, could be partnerships, could be OPM, could be private lender, could be all the above. There's many different ways to raise that money. But let's presume you raised it from OPM, other people's money. You're going to have, in a deal like this, probably 4 investors, 4 people, 5 people that are going to raise that 380 grand. I had 7 investors in that $900,000 deal. So you'd probably have less. But if I broke it down, that's how it would look. And then your money's going in here. And you are the general partner running the show. So for 10% in, you get 30% of the ownership. But you keep in mind, you're controlling it. You have voting rights. You're running the show. And you're really only out of pocket $4,500. The 42 grand that you brought in also gets the benefits of the limited partnership. And then you get paid all these things: acquisition fee, asset management fee, cash flow, profits, preferred return, your percentage of the 70%. I mean, it's pretty silly when you really work it out. It's pretty silly. And this happens all day long when you structure the deals right. All day long. Yeah, so let's, I'm not even going to get into inspections and closing and managing and stuff, because those are other things we don't have time for. Remember, I told you I probably wouldn't be able to get into those. But let's talk about this. Look, if you guys are interested in community and you actually want to understand this stuff, you know, we have a community you can join. Completely up to you. But people always ask, you know, can we learn more? Sure you can. And, love to teach you more if you guys want to. We have a mentorship community. Gives you lifetime access to everything. We have live weekly coaching with me, not hired coaches, right? Not hired coaches, and it's in a small setting, very intimate. Okay. We have a community of partnering where it's active, where people are kind of doing deals together. They're partnering together, doing the financing, asking a lot of Q&A. That's really, really key to having an active community, so you're learning. You'll get assigned a success coach as well. Resources and tools, you have lifetime access to that. We literally have a whole treasure trove library in the back end of the portal that has every single thing you'll ever need or fathom for the rest of your life in buying apartments. Deal analyzers, the best pitch decks you'll ever see, letters of intent, legal documents, due diligence checklists. Everything you can imagine is in our resource guide and tools library for everything. We assist you finding deals, analyzing the deals, funding the deals, closing the deals, managing the deals. So a couple things that are important for this. Number one, you have to have some skin to put into a deal, right? If you get a deal, you have, like we talked about, you have to have some money to go into a deal. So somewhere in the $15,000 to $30,000 range, you have to have available to invest for yourself to run the deal. Okay, so you have to, be able to get that or have that, okay, for yourself. So that way you can control the deal. The whole thought of having zero out of pocket, it doesn't work, guys. It's a nice, cute thought. It just doesn't execute. So I'm trying to get you guys to execute. So that's to be able to get the deal typically. It's not through us, right? But when you find a deal and we help assist in that process, when you go in there and execute, like I showed you, having that available to you to execute, that's what I'm talking about, okay? The mentorship community. And what we're doing is kind of special for everybody tonight, just FYI. Typically, all of the stuff I just showed you, okay? Typically $8,800, okay? But if this is something you're interested in here in the webinar, what we will do is we'll knock off $1,000, okay? We'll knock that off and make it $7,800, okay? I try and be upfront with people on what it is. Keep in mind, lifetime program access to everything we talked about, weekly live coaching with me, intimate, success coach, all the stuff I just showed you, right? All this stuff. And then assisting you in managing, finding, fund deals, the whole 9 yards, all the resources and tools, your own success coach, community for partnerships, the live weekly training, lifetime access. So let me send you, if you have interest, and by the way, no, okay, it's totally up to you. Put your name and your email and your phone number in the chat, not to everybody. Put it at the host and panelist if you have any interest in just learning more, and we can discuss further, okay? Not trying to hard sell people, but if people want more info on how to do this, and then I'm going to send you guys a link where you can also book a informational call to learn more, And whether or not it's the right fit for you or not, don't know, but totally available to you. If you want to learn this stuff a little bit more and kind of learn about it, okay? But I try and be very, very upfront with people, interact, and selling a bunch of crap and all that stuff. Also, so that's the link. I put the link in there, and I'll put it again to everyone. You can click that link and schedule an informational call, okay? And go direct. If you want to just see more details on what it all includes, let me put this link in there for you. That's a link that just came for a landing page that shows you everything, kind of just summarize it in a nice little page, what I talked about, okay? So that way you can kind of just, you can learn more about me, learn more about us, everything, right? Just has all the information. We want to be super transparent with everybody, so you kind of know what's going on, okay? Awesome. Any other questions? For the marketing, when you say marketing, elaborate on that, Mary, so I can understand that. To find deals, nothing. You're going to use Crexy.com. Crexy.com, because that is a on-site marketplace. By the way, just kind of side note, the head sales guys that sell the data systems for Crexy.com ended up joining our mentorship program, because they called me one day, we were talking, and then they wanted to learn more. And the next thing I know, they're like, oh my gosh, this is great. Like, we're going after it. And now they're in the program, and they're now offering Crexy and all the stuff they're doing to all of the students. It's pretty cool. And they're all on the system. So it's awesome. Yeah, Crexy.com is a great platform. LoopNet is obviously there, but Crexy is great for just looking at what's available on the websites. Keep in mind, that's only 40% of the market. So to get access to the pre-market, all that entails is reaching out to the brokers from the on-market stuff, but we teach all of this, Mary. This is all the stuff that obviously learnable, but then also you need a critical component that everybody wants. It's one thing to go online and take courses or watch YouTube. Like, that's nice, and you can learn a lot from it, don't get me wrong. But usually the difference between execution and non-execution is having the hand-holding and the guide, and then a little bit of the kind of the nudging and the accountability side of it to say, hey, you know, but that's also why we do the success coach. That's why we do all this stuff as part of it, because we know that it's just as much a mental game as it is a physical game of actual doing it. 9 times out of 10, it's make sure you get your butt out of bed. And we can try and help do that as much as possible. But yeah, great, Mary. I really appreciate it. You wouldn't be calling realtors. So, I mean, I'm a realtor, but no, these are commercial brokers. So we teach the process of how to approach them, what you do, because remember, there's to find deals. You're either going to go direct to the seller, of which you're going to spend 10 times more money and time doing that. And let me explain why. I literally 5 to 7 phone calls a day, 5 to 7 text messages a day, and about 10 emails. And then when I check our PO box, about 7 pieces of mail asking to buy our properties. So the point I'm trying to make is, for every single piece of mail you can send to attract an off-market direct-to-seller deal, the brokers are mailing us 5. For every phone call you're going to make, the brokers are making 5. For every text message, they're doing 10. They have teams of people doing this. So you can fight that battle. And if you're newer, it's not smart. Or they're already telling you, hey, we have all the deals. You just need to go make a connection. And we show you how to make the connections. That's the whole apparatus. You need to know how to make the connections. But the brokers are raising their hand. They're saying, hey, look, we have deals. And I'm a market maker. I'm in the market doing these deals. So I'm going to make a phone call. And we show you that process. What to say, how to say it, what to do. Okay. Indiana. Oh my gosh. Indiana is one of the best markets, by the way. Great market. Highly desirable. A lot of great things happening there. I mean, couldn't talk. I feel like I should name my future dog Indiana. Yeah, Indiana's great. North Carolina, South Carolina, great markets, Alex. So very good markets. Anywhere in the Southeast is great. Anywhere in the Sun Belt is great. Middle part of the country is great. If you're East Coast coming in right now, you'll want to be Pennsylvania, no New York, no high tax states that are landlord tenant law. You need to be able to get your rents out if they don't pay rent within a reasonable time frame, like not a year, you know, which is why, like, we still invest in California very tactfully, because of the landlord tenant laws are a disaster, and the state, you know, has its problems. So beautiful state, but, you know, not being run that well. All right, everybody. Hey, looking to speaking with all of you if you're booking an informational call and then, yeah, learning about this. I mean, it really is cool. We're helping out a lot of people, and then it helps us because we're able to partner and grow, and everybody has community, and that is what it's all about. So.